Grow with Cara show. Today we continue our interview series with successful attorney marketers. We're taking a close look at what's working, what's not working so well, the specific steps these attorneys took to get to where they are. And remember, these are simple steps that you too can follow to get on a similar path to growth. Okay, let's dive in like we always do. Today, our special guest is attorney Taly Goody. Taly is the founder of Goody Law Group, a personal injury and employment firm serving California and Wyoming. We're very excited to have her here today. Welcome, Taly. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Cara, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, great. I'm excited to dive in. You're doing lots of exciting things. So to begin, Taly, tell us a little bit about your story and why did you launch the firm?
Yeah, so I started my firm about 3 years ago. And prior to opening Goody Law Group, I was actually working for another attorney doing art law and art litigation, completely different type of law that I do now. As you mentioned, I do personal injury and employment law. So straight out of law school, I went and started working for this boutique law firm. And then probably towards year 4 or 5, that's when I started feeling like stagnant. I'm like, I'm working for somebody else. I'm not really working towards my own goals. And, I wanted to make change. And so that's when I decided, okay, I can either go work for somebody else or I could just start my own firm. And I made the decision to start my firm. My husband was a, great supporter of me doing it and completely changed practice areas. And so let's say 3 years ago, about 3 years ago, actually a little bit over 3 years ago, I launched Goody Law Group. And now we focus personal injury and employment law. And just about a year ago, I took the Wyoming bar to expand into Wyoming. So really, I've always wanted to be a business owner. And I thought, why not take this leap and start my firm? And I have no regrets. I'm completely happy. It's been an exciting journey watching my firm grow. And yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So how big is the team? Is your husband your partner?
Yeah, so he's my partner, and we have a team of, I have a couple assistants, and we outsource a lot of our work to different teams. So it's been great. I found a great flow. My assistants are awesome, and my husband is like my litigation partner. So we have a good teamwork.
That makes sense. So are you using virtual assistants or do you have
I actually have no virtual assistants. I have a legal assistant who helps me with all of my, legal work, kind of like paralegal. And then I have a social media assistant.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So they work for me and they work part-time. Yeah.
About how many open case files does the firm have currently?
We have about, I would say, close to 60.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Most of them are in pre-litigation though. Okay, we have some in litigation, but most are pre-litigation.
Sure. And what has the growth been like in the last 3 years for the firm? What does that trajectory sort of look like?
So first year is always hard when you're a law firm owner, when you get off on your own. Usually that's the year you're looking for business, you're looking for clients. But to kind of put things in perspective, my first year I made about $200,000, and then from my second year I doubled that income, and now to my third year I doubled that income. So it's just growing at a great pace, and really proud of that. My clients have been growing the same, doubling, and yeah, it's been amazing to see that growth.
That's impressive. So how are you marketing the firm now? How are most of your clients coming to you?
So when I started, it was a lot of my clients came from social media. Like my first year, I got on social media, which I'm sure we're going to talk about soon. And that's where I got a good bulk of my clients. Now it's a lot of word of mouth because a lot of my old clients, knock on wood, they were happy with my service. So they're referring me cases, they're referring me clients, friends, family members. And so it's really just coming from social media, client referrals. That's mainly it. I don't have a lot of attorney referrals, surprisingly. It's mainly word of mouth, friends, people who see me on social media, old friends from high school. Yeah, that's kind of how they're all coming through.
So it doesn't sound like you're spending a ton of money on marketing.
No, I spend probably close to $0 a year
Wow.
on marketing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about social media. Obviously,
Okay.
you're very active on social. You're at Taly Goody ESQ on both Instagram and TikTok. You have really super loyal following on both platforms. You have more than 13,000 followers on Instagram, more than 90,000 followers on TikTok. So you talked about social media being a sizable lead driver for the firm early on. So let's talk about your start on social media. First of all, what types of cases were coming in early on from social media?
Yeah. So when I got on social media, it was mainly personal injury based. Those were my main cases coming in. But yeah, I mean, when I was getting on social media, like I said, I completely changed practice areas. I came into this heavily populated personal injury practice area. You know, everyone in California is a well-known personal injury lawyer or employment lawyer. And so I was like, how am I going to get my cases? You know, like I'm like, it's not going to be like all these different attorneys are going to refer me cases. I'm just a newbie in the community, you know? And so I was like, I need to do something creative. I got to get on, you know, get myself out there in a different way. And I actually had a friend who, you know, was helping me with my marketing, and she was also has her own agency. And she suggested, hey, why don't you get on TikTok? And this is back in 2020 when I was like, TikTok? Like, you know, this is before the pandemic. So TikTok was not even a thing. It was just like, you know, you just think of it as a lot of younger people doing dances and, you know, that's it. And so I was like, I'm not sure about TikTok, but I'll try it. You know, I was really like skeptical at the beginning, but I got on there, I posted a few things, and that's when I started saying, wow, you can get a lot of traction on TikTok. I mean, your posts can go viral in a matter of hours. So I thought that was amazing. And so that was kind of where it started. I just got on TikTok, and it was great.
So so that was actually the first platform that you used, TikTok, initially, even before Instagram, or?
Well, I got on Instagram just because you know, you need a background where people, if they're going to search you, you have an Instagram account, you have a website. It's like kind of the staples you need. You have a Facebook page to know that you exist as a firm. So I kind of got on there, but it wasn't really like, okay, I felt like I was just posting on Instagram, like the typical photos, stock photos, like, you know, things that just, they don't really stand out. It's just what everyone else is doing. And so I did get on Instagram first, and then I got on TikTok probably a few months after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what topics did you begin with? How did you start? You mentioned wanting to stand out. What were you talking about initially on TikTok?
So when I got on TikTok, you know, that's when I realized the younger demographic. So I have to kind of be able to capture their attention. And so I thought, why not share what it takes to be a lawyer, you know, just general. Like I was like, okay, here are the steps. And I think the first thing was you need to go to college, you need to take the LSAT, you know, went through just like the basic steps. And that one went viral. That was my first viral video. And
how soon after you started did one of your videos go viral? Was it it sounds like it was pretty early on.
Quick. But remember, this was when not a lot of people were on TikTok. So like there was just a very small handful of attorneys on TikTok at that time, probably like 20 attorneys.
Right.
And so I got on there and I was like, and it was, I would say, a lot easier to go viral at that time just because the pool was not so saturated. But I got on there, and then probably after a couple weeks, that video went viral. But I'm going to say it wasn't because of the content. It was because my dancing was off the beat. Everyone was commenting like, can you dance better? What kind of attorney are, you know, there's a lot of negative comments.
Because everyone needs their attorney to be a good dancer.
Exactly. Like, and they're like, how do you have spare time if you're an attorney? Why are you on TikTok? You know, there's all these kind of negative comments, which were kind of funny in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was my first viral video.
And so how did the actual clients start coming through TikTok? Were you getting comments? Were they reaching out directly? Tell us specifically about how you were actually turning that into clients.
So when I first got on TikTok, I would say it was around January 2020. I don't think I started getting clients leads until later in 2020, because that's when I was starting to put out different types of videos and different types of content. So I was putting out like educational videos. I was putting out funny videos. I was putting, you know, different things to see what my style was. And towards the end of the year is when I posted a day in the life of a personal injury lawyer and law firm owner. That video went viral. And so that's when I started seeing, because I put in my title, personal injury lawyer, I started getting comments, I started getting messages, and then I started getting phone calls. I actually got probably 2 or 3 phone calls. Yeah, let me backtrack. Actually, I did get, I think it was June that I started getting my first client. Okay. June 2020. So I started posting January 2020 and I started getting more. So it took me a few months to kind of find my groove and see what worked. Mm-hmm. And then that's when I started posting more personal injury related topics where people could see I was a personal injury attorney. And it said that on the actual title or in the caption. And so they would actually go to the link in my bio, or they Googled me and found my office phone number and they'd call me. A lot of actually one of them had messaged me on Instagram, but I missed that message. And so she called me, thank God, because I was on a road trip that time. It was the COVID time. So we were like, let's go on a road trip. And I looked on my Instagram. I'm like, oh, she messaged me. Thank God she called me or I would have missed it. Wow. And that turned out to be one of my biggest cases.
Wow.
You know? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So there's been sort of an obvious evolution of the content that you are posting, right? So what topics now are performing best for you?
Yeah, I think for me, educational, inspirational, and relatable. I'm not like so much, I would say funny sometimes works for me, but I think people like to see more of my motivational videos and educational ones. So I do post a lot about, personal injury facts, employment facts, things that I would want my clients to know when I sign them up, like for example, for personal injury, every time I have a phone call, it's like, don't give recorded statements to insurance companies. It's like one of the top things that I always tell potential clients or clients. And so I've made multiple videos just on that. And I've gotten so many that have gone viral because I've made them funny or I've made them controversial. And it's just one little tip. And you just keep remaking it in a different way. And you notice that like, hey, people don't know. You think people know because you've posted the video before, but then that same video reaches a totally different audience. And they're like, wow, I didn't know that. Thank you. Or shoot, I already gave a recorded statement, and then they start like talking in the comments, like, I can't believe I did that. Like, is my case over? Blah, blah, wanting to get more information.
Really getting that engagement going is so key.
Right. Definitely.
Where do you find the inspiration for these new video topics then? Is it just questions that you're hearing over and over again? Are you looking at trending topics?
I think, yeah, I always think about commonly asked questions and what I would want my clients to know. And then I also look back at the performance of my older videos to see which ones people were more into, and then look at those comments to see if there was a follow-up comment that I could actually elaborate more on.
Oh.
So usually that's a great way. So if you have a video that's performed well and you're thinking about what's my next topic, go to your comment section, check and see what is a commonly asked question, because usually you'll see there's a trend and people are like wanting to know, well, like if this happens, what should I do? Or if this happens, what should I do? And you can create another video with a fake scenario, a hypothetical to show, hey, this is what you should do. Take this step, take that step, don't do this. And it just, once you start posting and you keep consistently posting, that's when you're going to keep getting ideas. And the ideas are going to keep flowing and you're going to get that inspiration and you just continue posting that way. I think that's the best, advice I can give on that.
So if a lawyer watching is struggling to get traction on TikTok, what would you recommend?
Change up your content type, because I see a lot of people on TikTok and I think people forget, like, we are lawyers and it's good to be detailed and it's good to put out a bunch of information, but you have to remember everyone's attention span on TikTok is basically under 5 seconds, So if you're not capturing someone's attention within the first 1 or 2 seconds of that video, they're going to scroll and your video is gone. No matter what an amazing video you've created, you put a lot of work into it, a lot of time into it. But if you don't capture that attention, it's bye. So I think it's important to say, okay, if I'm creating this video where I'm doing this long 5-minute talk, are people really going to want to see that? They might, but if you make it more interesting, like right from the beginning, like bam, this, do you want to know about this? And then people will be like, wow, that's actually interesting. I'm going to keep listening. But I think if you're doing a video and it's not performing well, switch up the type of content you're putting out. If you're trying to be funny and it's just not working, don't be funny. If you're trying to be inspirational, you know what I mean? Like just try different things, because it will show when you're putting out content that's not really you. Your audience is going to see it and they're going to tell you're kind of uncomfortable or it's just not working for you. So I think just try out different things is the most important thing to do.
Smart. Yeah. What would you say is the ideal length for social videos, and how often are you posting?
So for TikTok, I think ideal length is, I would say under 10 seconds.
Wow.
15 seconds max.
Wow.
This is what I think is a great approach for attorneys. And I do this a lot, is I will think of one really important tip or fact that I want my audience to know. And I will make a very, very short video. So something that's kind of like leaves people wanting to know more. So maybe like an 8-second video with just a text that says something interesting and maybe controversial. And then that leads, the comments and engagement. People like, wait, what do you mean? Explain more. And then that's when you make that follow-up video where it's like a longer video explaining exactly what you're saying. But in order to capture that attention and that audience, you need to put out those shorter videos, because that's what's going in the FYP. Should I explain what the FYP is?
Yeah, please. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the FYP stands for the For You page on TikTok. So when you're on your TikTok, you could see who you're following, but then you can go on the FYP and it's all these random people that you don't follow. And so if your goal is to end up on that FYP, so people that don't follow you can see your videos. And I mean, the goal is if you are trying to reach consumers or potential clients, people may have different goals. Attorneys may have different goals with who they want to reach. But for me, I'm very much consumer based. So I do want to get the client from the get-go. And so that's kind of my goal, is to reach a broader audience.
I love that 2-step process, the super short kind of grab their attention and then elaborate and answer some of the questions. I think that's really, really smart. So obviously TikTok is a national platform and it can be challenging to geographically target who sort of sees your content. How have you overcome that? How have you managed to get qualified clients within California and now Wyoming?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think sometimes that can be luck. I have gotten a lot of like potential clients from all over the US and I've helped them find homes. I'm like, oh, here. And I've made referral connections where I'm like, I get a lot of clients in Texas, even though I'm not in Texas, but I can send them to you. And so I've made attorney connections through TikTok, even where I'm like, met new attorneys, and send them cases. But I think what I've done that's been helpful, and I'm not sure if it's helpful now, because social media changes, like I'm sure every month, every day, there's something new. But what I usually do is I'll put like California personal injury lawyer or personal injury California in my hashtags. And so if people are searching hashtags, or if they're just looking at my caption, they'll be like, oh, she's a California attorney, And so the few times that I did really get my biggest cases in California, I'm trying to think how. I think they might have just clicked my bio and they saw I was California. They did their research. But like I said, I still get a lot of other clients or potential clients from outside of California too. So I think TikTok can be a hit or miss with that, because sometimes you could just reach outside of California and you just miss it,
Right. Many of the guests I've had on this show have said that though they're able to gain a broader sort of, a larger following on TikTok, Instagram tends to be higher quality and the platform that's really generating leads. But it sounds like that hasn't really been your experience. Can you talk about TikTok versus Instagram?
So Instagram, I think when you first, before Reels, Instagram was definitely not the platform for me. I didn't like it because you really couldn't reach an audience that's besides the people that follow you. And so, just regular feed posts are great for your community. But if you want to get a larger audience or reach a larger audience, that's where reels come into play. So what I've been doing is I create my videos on TikTok and then I repurpose them onto Instagram reels. I almost repurpose every single video. I don't really think about that because I've heard where people say, oh, Instagram needs to be more put together. There's a different style. I still repurpose them. I don't really care about that because I say, why not? The more content you put out on Instagram, the better, better possibility you have to reach more people. And sometimes my videos that don't perform well on TikTok perform well on Instagram. I repurpose them and they perform way better on Instagram, So it's, for me, I think it comes down to a matter of preference on where you like to create your videos. For me, I think TikTok is more user-friendly. I create them all on TikTok and then I save them and I just repurpose them and post them on Reels.
Smart.
Of course, you take off the TikTok watermark because they say that will affect, how Instagram pushes out your videos if they see the TikTok watermark. I'm not sure how true all of these things are. They could all be just myths because I've seen videos with the TikTok watermark go viral on Instagram,
Right.
I don't really know. I don't know what's true.
Yep. So you mentioned you have a social media assistant. How are you? What is that person doing for you? How does the work breakdown look?
So for me, we basically once a week, we brainstorm together on some content ideas, or she'll send me some content ideas. Here's like what some trending videos I've seen. Maybe we can mesh this into PI. She's actually a law student currently. So she is not like in the personal injury realm. Like she's not like knowledgeable on that. So it's kind of like, we kind of have to bounce ideas off each other, or I have to tell her like, this is what we do in personal injury. And she's learning now because she's been with me for a while, but she'll give me like trending ideas, or, hey, I think this would be a good idea. If you have a tip that you want to share for personal injury, like let's put it in there. And then we'll just bounce ideas off of each other. Then ultimately I'll film by myself because I like to just put the camera in front of me. And I think it's more natural for me than to have somebody film. I'm more comfortable just retaking as many times as I want, filming everything. And then I'll send her I'll send her copies of it and she'll edit. Usually I'll add text on there. And then either I'll post them or she'll post them. She has access to my TikTok account, like my username and password. And then sometimes she'll act as me and just post it, and she'll respond to comments and keep the engagement going.
So it sounds like you're just shooting on your phone, right? Or
yes, I shoot on my phone. When I first got on, it was just me. And so what I would do is I would spend probably one day a week on a weekend filming for 5 to 8 hours. Just because it was a lot. 5 to 8 hours every week. Remember, this was also during the pandemic. Nothing was happening. It was great. Had all the time I needed to just focus on filming. I wasn't going anywhere. I didn't have plans. And so I would just focus, 8 hours a day, film. And then throughout the week, I would edit and post. But now that I have my assistant, it kind of takes a little bit off my plate. But I also didn't want to transfer everything to an assistant. I wanted to still be have my part in it, because I feel like sometimes when people do that, it loses its authenticity because it's very much becomes so like commercialized and it's not the person that's posting. Right. So I think that's kind of where my concern was. I don't want it to just be handed off to a team and I just okay it without, being involved in it.
Sure. So you're still shooting videos in batches once a week?
I try. I recently had a baby. She's 6 months now. So thank you. So the past 6 months, I've kind of, I've been purposeful about my time and just making sure I spend time with her as she's growing. But yes, on a normal basis, I do try to at least film once every 2 weeks, maybe twice a month now. I think that's more reasonable. Film as much as you can. But then at the same time, I don't just batch content. I will also, if inspiration strikes randomly one day, I'll film a video, or if there's a trend that I'm like, I have to get on this right now, or it's going to be too late, I'll film it right now,
Yep. And so how many videos are typically coming out of a shoot?
I would say for me, probably depending on like the quality, sometimes I put a lot more time in them. So if they're like longer time videos where I'm doing a lot of transitions, I would say like 5 to 8 videos. But if there are like easy like voiceovers where I'm just recording myself sitting somewhere, I could probably do like 20,
Nice.
in one sitting.
Nice.
So it does depend on the type.
Are you doing any sort of ongoing tracking of those best performing videos? You mentioned kind of going back to those for comment inspiration. Are you doing any ongoing tracking, Taly?
I am. I just look at analytics. So TikTok, you can look at the analytics. You can look at analytics on Instagram, and it will show you like where the majority of your traction is. Is it from the FYP, or is it from your followers? People, how many people have saved your posts? And you could see like, okay, wow, so many people have saved this post. They thought it was really, it was valuable to them. So then you look back and say, what can I do to kind of make a spin off of that video where people will, or do I want to make a part 2? People really like that, and then create your videos that way.
Smart. I noticed you're using the link tree, the link in bio. Talk about how that performs, or how you decide kind of which links to feature in that link in your bio.
I mean, I definitely have my website, because the goal at the end of the day is get the traffic to my website, have them put either an intake in there, like say, this is my case, or they can, call my firm, which I've gotten a lot of calls that way. But, I will usually, if I have like a publishment or an article that's just come out that's mentioned me or my firm, I'll put the link there. And usually it's something that I've mentioned in Instagram or TikTok, for example. So it's like, I just did a post about, oh, here, like I was recognized, for example, I was recognized in this article, and I'll say, check out the full article here, link in bio. So it links to that. And so usually I'll switch things up when I feel like it's been there for a while and I'm not really, referring people back to that. But if it's something that's notable and I'm like proud of it, I'll just keep it there all the time.
Smart.
And another thing that I've done, which has been really helpful, is I've taken it off right now because I've slowed down my meetings, but once 2023 comes around, I'm going to get back into it. But I put like a Calendly link in my bio, and I allow anyone, I set like 2 to 3 days where I put from like 10 to 2, I'm going to have people set meetings with me if they want. And so it was great. The past 2 years, I've had it like consistently where I've gotten potential clients on there. I also do a lot where I mentor aspiring lawyers. So a lot of my content is related to that as well. So I'll have potential, aspiring lawyers schedule meetings, potential clients, also lawyers that want to open their own firm, because they'll see I just opened my firm. They want to know more information. So a lot of my time is spent mentoring through Calendly, or I'll have client consultations. So it's fun. It's like, it's a great way for people if they don't want to call you right away or they want to set up an appointment. It's a perfect way to do it.
I love the idea of putting that self-scheduler link in there. Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks.
Taly, are you putting any money into boosting posts or social ads at all?
I have not. As of now, never done that yet. Yeah, I don't. I've seen a lot of people recently. I feel like sponsored posts have become a lot more popular. I personally have not tried it to see how it works, how it boosts. But I do see a lot of attorneys that pop up and I'm like, wow, they got a lot of views on this video, so it may be working. I don't know how much people are actually putting into that. And I don't know what the demographic is, like who's actually seeing these videos. Is it reaching the right audience?
Right. Right. So it doesn't really sound like something that you're planning on.
I don't think so. I've had a knock on wood, good luck with just organic growing and putting videos out there. It's been getting to the right audience. It's, and I think when people get on social media, you want to think about what your goal is. Is your goal to bring in like 100 cases a month, or is your goal more quantity over quality? Because that's kind of how my firm is. I'm a smaller firm. I can't just take on every single case, doesn't work that way. So I'm not necessarily looking for hundreds of leads a month. That's different. So I think you have to think about, what is your goal? What are you looking for? Maybe if you're looking for hundreds of cases a month, maybe you do want to try sponsored or boosting your posts. I think that could maybe be something to look into. But for me, organically it has worked really great.
Sometimes attorneys will tell me, I can't see a direct ROI, a direct return on my investment, either of time or money in social media. So why is it worthwhile? Why should I do it? What would you say to that objection?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point because especially now, it's hard to see that because there are a lot of attorneys, there are a lot of law firms. People are out there. Competition is real. It's not simple, like it is, everyone says just get on there. It's hard, especially if you're in a competitive market. Personal injury in California right now is very competitive, I would say. I mean, you see a lot of people on there. And so I would say don't give up because if you don't go viral in like the first 2 weeks, doesn't mean you're not going to ever have success. I think that it takes time. It takes consistency. I think, anyone that comes on this podcast probably says consistency, whatever that means to you, because whether you think consistency is posting 2 times a week, 4 times a week, just keep with that, whatever's consistent for you, because you don't want to burn out either. So if you're like, I can't commit more than posting twice a week. Okay, fine. But keep doing that and find ways to modify your videos so you can, get a better range of views or better range of audience. Because I think you have to constantly, with the shift of social media, you have to constantly be on your toes to improve and to, grow with the way social media is growing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I would say don't give up. I think it's easy to say it's not worth it. This is not worth my time. For example, if you're not paying for sponsored posts, but you're just putting out content. But I think for any attorney, marketing is very, very important. That's how you're getting all your business. Unless you are just referral based, you don't need to market. For me, I'm very much consumer based. I do need to market. I need to bring in my clients that way. So I can't just really say, it's not worth my time. I think anytime you're putting content out there is going to be worth your time. You're reaching somebody.
And you found a super effective way of marketing your firm for $0, right? I mean, how many marketing campaigns, how many marketing channels are essentially free, right? Not too many. And I think you've really outlined and highlighted that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, Taly, before we wrap up, I always like to ask if a lawyer watching only has time to adopt one or maybe two of the tips that you shared today, what would you recommend?
I mean, I think really I would recommend just getting on TikTok or getting on Instagram Reels. I think to me, those are the two top platforms that you can actually reach a huge audience. Sit down and, batch content for a month, try it out for a month, see what happens, see if you get any leads. And just, I think the most important thing is to just be open-minded and remember to be true to yourself. Try different styles of content. Don't just stick to one, and really put things out there. Just don't be shy. I guess that's the most important thing, because I think people are like, well, that's not really me, or, how am I going to show my personality? I think there's so many ways. Like I've seen people that won't even show their faces. They'll sit behind a computer and just, they're just typing and then they'll put text on a video, a tip. People just want the information. They don't necessarily need it to be highly produced content. They just want to know what information is valuable in your opinion. So just get out there and try your best.
I love it. Just start, stick with it, be authentic, pivot until you find the content that works. Good.
Exactly.
I love what Taly laid out for us today. So many good takeaways. Primary takeaways I see: 1, experimentation is critical. Taly repeatedly varied the style of her videos until she found success, right? Some of that success has come from teaching aspiring lawyers, like getting into law school, life in law school, life as a lawyer, etc. Finding what will work for you on social media requires trying different things. Number 2, TikTok can deliver clients. Most of my guests have told me that they get more clients and better quality leads from Instagram, but Taly is the second lawyer now to tell me that TikTok is her primary source of new clients. She posts first on TikTok and then repurposes those same videos on Instagram. So whichever platform is primary for you, get on both. As Taly says, a video may perform well on one platform, but maybe not as well on the other. Being on both platforms doubles your chances of success, right? Number 3, look to your past posts for inspiration. Taly shared a great technique for generating original content ideas. Review comments in past posts for questions, then elaborate on your prior post to answer those questions. Number 4, you don't have to run ads or boost posts. Social media marketing, it can be completely free if you do the work yourself and stick to organic posts like Taly. That makes it ideal, of course, for new practices, young lawyers, others on tight budgets. Social media has truly leveled the attorney marketing playing field against the big spenders on TV, radio, those massive billboard budgets. Taly's doubled her firm's revenues twice in a row, spending absolutely nothing on her social media except for the cost of a part-time law student assistant. Number 5, do not expect a quick win. I know this is hard for a lot of attorneys, but building up followers, it takes time. Going viral or boosting popular posts, that can certainly accelerate your follower growth, but time and consistent posting, those are really the critical pieces. Those are certainly still required. So don't give up if you don't succeed in those first couple of months. Stick with it, varying your style to learn what engages viewers. You should see steady growth in your followers and certainly also in your leads. Good stuff, Taly. Okay, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us today. It was a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Cara. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, everyone be sure to join us for the next episode of the Grow with Cara show happening very soon. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.